Hello, Tyrians. I'm back. Joe here, aka Edgy Buttermaker, casual gamer dad with an updated Guild Wars 2 video. If you're familiar with my Condi Mesmer videos from a couple years ago, you know I play a Scepter Torch Conditions Mirage Mesmer named Rezmerize. My return to Tyria was met with some pretty substantial Mirage nerfs, the biggest being allowed only one dodge. That is crazy to me. And Condi damage no longer scales with toughness. So in this video, I will cover my build changes, my untouchable playstyle, mobility, and some narrated slow motion fights. Starting with the Illusions tree, the first passive improves Shatter F2, nerfed from 2 stacks to just 1 stack of confusion per shatter, so a 3 clone shatter plus yourself is 4 stacks of confusion. I still take the pledge for shorter torch recharge and burning. The second passive adds a little power and Condi damage, both are good for this build. I used to take the bottom one here for a stack of torment per shatter, but they flip-flopped torment damage. It used to do more damage if the target was moving around and less if they were still. Now it's the other way around, which I think overall lowers torment damage. So I decided to take Escape Artist for better clone generation. The third passive reduces shatter recharge. I use all 4 shatters and often, so this is still a great passive. Finally, I still use Malicious Sorcery for the faster Scepter attacks and reduced recharge. I love the Scepter, even though ANET developers seem to hate it and do everything they can to make Mesmers choose basically anything else. Moving on, I still use Chaos. The first passive was nerfed to 5 seconds instead of 10 seconds of regeneration. I take Method of Madness only because the other 2 are worthless to me. The second passive was nerfed to no longer give protection when you gain regeneration, but you get a slight boost in Condi damage with regen still. I take Chaotic Potency for added condition damage. I don't use the staff, so the only thing I gain from this one is 120 Condi damage. Nowhere near as good as the scale from toughness I once received, but the other 2 options are worthless to me. The third passive still increases Condi durations, but differently. It's tied to regeneration, and I believe the 250 expertise from this passive is around 15% increased durations. Bountiful Disillusionment is the whole reason I take the Chaos tree. With the stability gained from Shatter, I'm rarely knocked around. This allows me to get my heal off safely, revive an ally safely, and finish a downed foe safely. Even without any illusions out, you still gain the stability. As an added bonus, you also get other boons based on which shatter you use. Lastly, my beloved but gutted Mirage tree. The first passive gives the Mirage Cloak dodge. The best dodge in the game, but almost useless by allowing only 1. I take Self-Deception for good and consistent clone generation. The second passive adds Condi damage from Vigor. I used to spec into getting Vigor for the dodges, but since they don't want the Mirage to dodge, I don't really bother with Vigor anymore, as the synergy this tree used to have between Vigor and dodging was eliminated. I take Desert Distortion for the mirrors on F4 shatters. I do love these mirrors. F4 gives you 1 second of invulnerability per shatter, so up to 4 seconds. On top of that, you pick up these mirrors for more invulnerability, as each one counts as a Mirage Cloak dodge, plus they proc the Scepter 1 ambush ability. It's about the only way to even use ambush anymore, since they decided to kneecap all the synergy from dodge. The third passive still provides a short burst of speed after your 1 dodge. And lastly, I take Infinite Horizon. When you ambush from your Mirage Cloak, so do your clones. Overall, I think the Mirage tree synergy with dodges was eliminated and mostly useless. The only real reason I kept it is for the jaunt, the heal, and some of the deception skills. Let's look at runes, sigils, and overall stats with this build. Since they removed the scaling from toughness, I now use the Carrion Amulet. It provides great condition damage and some nice power. I used to have no added health with less than 16,000 hit points, but I traded toughness for vitality and now I have over 10,000 more than I'm used to. So survivability goes up quite a bit from previously. I use the Rune of Scavenging. This adds more vitality and condition damage, and the 6-piece bonus converts 7% of vitality into condition damage. Overall, this rune adds about the most Condi damage of them all. I still run my Scepter Torch, focused on confusion and burning, so I use the Sigil of Confusion and the Sigil of Smoldering. I still use Sword Focus for mobility, and run the Sigil of Stagnation for getting away to rotate when I need to, and the Sigil of Energy for endurance gain. Overall, this build has decent power, high Condi damage, and a lot more health than I'm accustomed to, which is nice, but I prefer to avoid damage than to soak it. Let's get into some of the fun stuff. If you've seen previous videos, you know I like to play an untouchable defensive style. I practice this in the Mists by facing each class with the goal to down and finish them, all without ever taking a single point of damage. And since ANET doesn't want the Mirage to use the ability they gave it, I tasked myself with a very difficult challenge. I wanted to see if I could defeat and finish everything in the Mists without taking a single point of damage and without ever dodging. Not even using the one dodge I do have. Try it and you'll see just how difficult this challenge really is, but I'm happy to say it is doable. I trained myself to play without any dodges so that instead of feeling gutted by ANET, I just got used to playing with no dodge at all, and now I pretend they added one dodge. Yay, what a bonus! Thanks, ANET. You added a dodge. Here is a 0 damage, 0 dodges fight in slow motion so I can explain what I'm doing. I open with Mirage Advance, which blinds them and puts me in melee range, where I immediately and simultaneously use Shatter F3 to daze them and give myself 10 seconds of Fury and Torch 4 for stealth, burning, and a clone, then Torch 5 for an illusion and more burning and blindness, into a safe Scepter 3 for a ton of confusion while they are blinded. I wait to see miss on screen. This informs me that blind worked but is now gone, so immediately I use Scepter 2 for a block and a bunch of torment. I jaunt to add a third clone and more confusion. If they still have a lot of health, I will Shatter F2 for a ton of conditions. If they are about to die, I just do Shatter F4 for invulnerability. When downed, I do my patented Shadow Stomp by starting the finish animation immediately into Illusionary Ambush. This puts me at range and takes me out of any potential AoE around the downed player. It also drops their target on me, so they have to find me to hit me from the down state, and I blink back to finish the stomp. After each class, I like to also take down the Chieftain and Svanir. Chieftain uses ranged abilities, and I open first with the Focus 5 for an illusion that destroys projectiles. I use auto attack for clone generation every third hit and throw out Torch 5 from range for the illusion and burning. When he does come at me, I Scepter to block, then Torch 4 for stealth and blind, then move away to channel Scepter 3 from a distance and auto attack him down. The Chief is actually pretty easy and I didn't even have to use a Shatter. Svanir, on the other hand, is the hardest to defeat without taking any damage or dodging because of his constant AoE swipes in a confined space. I use Sword Focus for mobility, so often I have it out when I first enter a fight and take advantage of its abilities before switching to Scepter Torch. Svanir provides a good example of how that looks. I start with Focus 5 for the illusion, then drop down Focus 4 to slow him, then I close Focus 4 by pressing it again, which pulls enemies to it, and switch to Scepter Torch. Now my illusion can safely hit him and Svanir is crippled and moving slowly while I auto attack to generate some clones. When he comes at me, I Scepter to block and blink away. It's important with Svanir to get out of his AoE range. From a safe distance, I channel Scepter 3. As soon as he comes into range on me, I Shatter F4 for invulnerability. The mirror gives me ambush while I Torch F4 for stealth and blindness, while invulnerable, and Torch F5 for the illusion and more burning. I jaunt away to get out of the corner and grab some mirrors to make sure he misses me and my clones get ambush. I auto attack him from a distance, and Scepter to block is back off CD, so I use it to stop his attack, and down goes Frazier. These fights are much harder than they look. Try it. It's great practice to learn the fast-paced instinct of using all your resources to survive. Mobility with Sword Focus remains the same. Throw down Focus 4 for the run speed, use Blink early for distance and to get it off CD sooner, and you can use your 1 dodge into Sword 1 for the ambush leap. Just make sure you don't have an enemy targeted when you do this, or you will leap in the direction of your enemy and not the direction you are running. You can move around the map pretty quickly with this weapon set. Even though you are fast, that doesn't mean you should be the first to charge into battle. Here, I wisely wait for my teammates before going in. I'm not a tank with a bunker build, and I don't want to be focused on.
Cannons loaded. Ring the bell to signal them to fire.
Here, I recognize they have backup coming and I'm outnumbered. It's much better for your team to get away and rotate than to stay and die. Here, I quickly grab home from the start. I use my map to see where my team is. I'm often able to grab our home before the enemy gets theirs, and I have 2 options. I can help my team in the middle or race to far and take it. I usually think about helping my team in the middle under 2 conditions. 1, if I think they need it, and 2, if I think we would win. If they all have good health, I move to far. If they are all dead or almost dead, I move to far. Otherwise, I help middle. I can see my teammates have pretty good health here and a lot of boons, very little conditions, so I opt to go far. At this point, we have home and they have nothing. I see one teammate went down in the middle, but the rest are still doing fine. After taking the point, we now have 2, and mid is still contested. The downed player is back up, and my team's health and boons versus buffs still look solid, so I stay to defend. I don't like to fight off points, but I own this point, and I meet the incoming player to see if I can force them to fight off point. And they do at first, then wisely move to the point, but it's too late for them. I see my team took mid, and we are in a really good position. I patiently wait to see what develops. I check my map to see where everyone is and decide to stay. I see a teammate coming with enemies on their tail.
My arena awaits. Prove your worth and gain my favor.
They circle around and one follows, but I see the Mesmer in the distance is low on health. Rather than let them heal up, I stealth and go to them. The burning and blind from Torch 4 applies after coming out of stealth, not going into stealth. So I can stealth from here and then Mirage advance to teleport to melee range in time to give burning and blind when the stealth wears off.
The blue team rises in my estimation. You've lost the market.
In one-on-one fights, you have to recognize your strengths and your weaknesses. Some foes are going to be extremely difficult, and others you will have a very nice advantage. Know those matchups. Guardians, or any spec really with good survivability and a lot of Condi clones, are going to be longer fights, which puts you at a disadvantage. Normally I would rotate away from a fight like this, but we had a good lead and I needed the video footage, so I stayed to show you how it would go, and, well, it pretty much went how I expected. On the flip side, against more glass cannon builds and classes that use a lot of abilities in quick succession, your confusion can melt them. I take this thief down quickly without even having them targeted for most of the fight. Let's see that one again in slow motion. I caught the thief coming in for a big burst, so I threw up my Scepter 2 block, preventing the initial attack without even having the thief targeted. My block put out some damage and 5 stacks of Torment. I immediately used Torch 4 for stealth and a clone. The thief attacks a clone as I come out of stealth, applying blind and burning, then perform a 2-clone Shatter F2 for more conditions, followed by a 0-clone F1 Shatter for might and stability. I have the thief targeted momentarily and see 2 stacks of burning, 6 stacks of confusion, and 6 stacks of torment. I use Torch 5 for more burning, followed by Jaunt to apply more confusion, and the thief goes down. I move in for the finish, expecting the thief to teleport, so I Shatter F4 for invulnerability and stability, and turn around expecting to blink to finish the stomp, but I'm close enough and don't need to use it. Here I wait with Sword Focus up and use Focus 5 for an illusion that does AoE damage with vulnerability stacks and destroys the engineer's projectiles. I use Sword 3 for a short teleport and clone, then swap to my Scepter Torch and immediately stealth with Torch 4 for blindness and burning. I use Torch 5 for the illusion and additional burning, and at this point they have 15 stacks of vulnerability, 4 stacks of burning, 1 stack of torment, and 2 stacks of confusion. After channeling Scepter 3, my target now has 2 stacks of torment, 10 stacks of confusion, 5 stacks of burning, and 10 stacks of vulnerability. I also have 3 clones, and I'm still virtually full on health. I block the next attack with Scepter 2, which does damage and adds more torment, then Shatter F2 for conditions while I reposition. I use Illusionary Ambush to reposition me and my clones to get out of the ground AoE. This also drops their target on me and gives me Mirage Cloak, which evades like a dodge and gives me and my clones Ambush to stack up confusion. Since I have not yet used my one dodge, I use it while casting my heal to avoid being interrupted. I block again with Scepter 2 and channel Scepter 3. I see the engineer is very low on health, so I jaunt on top of him to apply some confusion into a 2-clone F4 shatter for 3 seconds of invulnerability and stability, into a 0-clone F1 shatter to reapply stability, because I know engineers have a lot of knockdown capability. The engineer is down, and I move in for the finishing stomp. I have my one dodge back, so I use it during the stomp, followed by Shatter F3 for stability to ensure the finish. Against targets with a lot of ground AoE, I stay ranged. I use Focus 5 for the illusion here, which goes between me and my target, doing AoE damage and destroying all projectiles they try to hit me with, while I swap weapons and safely channel Scepter 3. I auto-attack for clone generation, and my target is already at half health without taking any damage myself. And as soon as I go in, you can see my health drops fast, and I have to get out quickly. As long as you can stay out of it, though, you have the advantage.
You've captured Lion.
That feels good.
In this fight, there is AoE all over the place, and I'm slowed, but I get out of it quickly. I take advantage of my Shadow Stomp capability by starting the finish, hitting Illusionary Ambush to teleport to range, drop target, and get out of the AoE during the finish, then teleport back in with Blink to complete it. This brings me to an important discussion on finishes and revives, both of which are crucial to winning fights, especially team fights. Here we have the advantage and get one of them low, but I can see they have reinforcements coming. It is important to finish the kill and get a quick finish to avoid being outnumbered.
Help! I don't have long.
In this fight against a sneaky thief, we both get low, but I go down first. The Mesmer has really good downstate abilities with a teleport, stealth, clone, and pretty good damage. I get double-digit stacks of confusion on the thief from the downstate, which kills him a lot quicker than he can kill me. In fact, had he done nothing so that my confusion stacks did not do damage, I probably would have died first. But he does, and I rally just as another arrives.
Be ready to give the signals and return fire once the cannons are loaded.
I am able to get a good amount of damage on the Necro before he takes advantage of my low health, and I go down.
Cannons loaded. Ring the bell to signal them to fire. You've lost
Again,
the dock.
I outplay from the downed position to rally.
Taken the archway.
In this fight, I arrive just as my teammate goes down. We could have easily lost this objective, but I use stealth, blindness, and the invulnerability of Shatter F4 to get a res in, and then immediately get out of the AoE and we secure the point.
has taken point B.
In this match, we find ourselves on a ton of ground AoE, and I get out of it, but my teammate does not and goes down. I Mirage advance on top of the Guardian, giving him blindness and to be near my teammate, then Torch 4 for stealth, burning and blindness, then Shatter F4 for invulnerability, then use my 1 dodge to evade while reviving. My conditions downed the Guardian, which now gives me the opportunity to finish the res. Remember, you can use your 1 dodge and more importantly your shatters for stability when performing animated channeling abilities to avoid interruption. Ground AoE is one of your biggest weaknesses, but it's an easy one to overcome. Just don't stand in it. You have the tools to get out quickly, use them.
Point C is in enemy hand.
In summary, overall, I would say I still have a lot of fun playing Scepter Torch Mirage Mesmer. I can still play it fairly competitively, but it is much harder to do. I enjoy the challenge, but I'm not a fan of the loss of synergy from the nerfs. I look forward to trying out the new Virtuoso build and playing around with that. In the meantime, I'm waiting for New World to launch, and I plan on making some videos for New World and eventually the Virtuoso when it comes out. It was fun to be back in Tyria and looking for ways to overcome Anet's Mesmer hate. Thank you for watching. I'll leave you with a montage of some fights using all of the skills and strategies outlined in this video. Enjoy.
You've lost Dragon. The Colosseum's artifacts are accruing power. The Colosseum's artifacts are accruing power.
Over here!
Red team has obtained an artifact.
Not my pet.
You captured Dragon.
Time and space are my ally. Running out of returns. Eat my dust. That looks good.
Bring this one down. Bring this one down.
Cores installed. Charging the laser.
Refreshing.
This is getting serious.
Eat my dust.
Forte is yours. You lost the waterfall.
I cannot lose my pet.
You've taken the graveyard.
Refreshing. Crystal reflections. My leg.
The waterfall is
My
yours.
dust. From desert heat, reflection.
Bring that one down. You've taken the graveyard.
Your eye betrayed me. Swirl like sand.
I chose you. I've got the
Maybe
target.
I was the original cause.
You lost the waterfall. You've captured the quarry. You lost the graveyard. Bring that one down.
Scale rising. Maybe I should be all along.
You've lost the quarry.